You ever feel like you're putting in the work but progress is moving at a snail's pace? And don't worry, it's just that the snail is probably secretly bench pressing 100 pounds at the same time. We're all improving every day, whether we notice it or not. I remember times when I was training for a race, running, stretching, lifting, doing everything right. But every time I stepped up the track or do a speed run or hill sprint, I felt like I was going nowhere. I wasn't making any progress. My legs always felt heavy. My pace always felt slow. And I was ready to throw in the towel. Maybe I wasn't meant to do this race. Or maybe I was remember trying to do my first powerlifting meet for the first time. But my arms, my legs always had other plans than to train and get strong and get swole. This wasn't working. I'm stuck. Maybe I just wasn't meant to do this athletic thing. Now, here's the thing. I didn't see it at the time, but progress was happening. Every run, every set, every attempt was laying a foundation for something bigger. The truth is, tiny consistent improvements are happening when you see them or they don't. It's the gradual, small stuff that adds up over time. So today we're going to be focusing on how to keep improving no matter how small the steps seem, because small progress compounds into big results. When it comes to progress versus perfection, there's a big difference. Progress is all about getting better over time, one step at a time. It's like a slow and steady journey becoming a better version of yourself. Perfection, on the other hand, is a moving target that's always just out of reach. You'll never quite hit it, and if you focus too much on trying, you'll end up stuck, frustrated, and unmotivated. The problem with perfection is it can paralyze you. Every little mistake feels like a roadblock, and the idea of getting things just right can keep you from even trying. I've been there. I remember a time when I was obsessed with perfecting my workouts, making sure I always started at 4 a.m. with my coffee going, that I ended up burnt out and frustrated because I never could hit the mark. I spent hours trying to perfect every little detail of my training, that all I was doing was wearing myself out mentally and physically, and I wasn't seeing any improvement because I wasn't actually getting out there to do any of the work. The more I chased perfection, the more I felt like I was falling short. Here's the key. Perfection is a trap that keeps you stuck. Progress, on the other hand, is the key to momentum. So when I finally stopped obsessing over perfect form, perfect timing, perfect training, and focused on just getting better when I could actually get in the time to do it, that's when real progress actually started happening. So the first step in all this is to set small, achievable goals. Big goals are exciting. Write them down on a whiteboard somewhere. But if you try to tackle them all at once, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. That's why breaking them down to smaller, more achievable chunks is key. When I was prepping for my first ultramarathon, my goal wasn't to run 50 miles in one go. No. That would have been a disaster. My first goal in training was then to actually just to run a marathon in training session without collapsing, without dying. Baby steps, right? Marathon. I focused on running that distance, and over time I worked my way up to running a 50K in a training session. And by the time race day come, I wasn't worried about 50 miles. I was confident in my training. And you know what? Small goals like that don't trip you over your own feet and are seriously underrated. When you're starting out, the tiniest victories matter. When you're starting out with just running, 200 meters is a win. 400 meters is a win. A mile is a very good win. If you can run for 10 minutes straight without tripping or needing a nap on the sidewalk, that's a huge win. It's all about building that momentum. Step 2 is going to be consistency over intensity. You don't have to crush it every day. The key is showing up. Even the effort can be small. Some days you might only have 10 minutes to work out. But trust me, 10 minutes counts. If you work out 10 minutes all the time, but over weeks and months, those 10-minute workouts do add up. And you'll be surprised at how much progress you can get from short, consistent efforts. Some days my workouts look less like lifting and more like staring at the gym equipment until I build enough courage to lift it. Guess what? I still showed up. And that's what matters. Consistency beats intensity every time. The third step in all this is make sure you track your progress. You got goals, you're staying consistent, but how do you know you're really improving? Tracking is the answer. When you track your workouts, meals, or any progress, you get visual representation of how far you've become. I love graphs, I love data. It's a powerful motivator to keep pushing. Personally, I use journals and apps to track everything from my runs to how much sleep I'm getting. I wear a Garmin all the time. I actually track my data all the time. I remember there was a point where tracking became like a game to me. I actually look forward to filling out my progress notes. I still do to some extent. But let's be real here. I started tracking my meals and workouts, and the number of times I forgot to track my workouts was, well, let's just say, progress doesn't always come from perfect tracking either. But even with a few slip-ups, the overall picture of my progress was clear, and that's what kept me going. Now, when it comes to progress, setbacks are not only inevitable, they're necessary. And if you're not hitting any obstacles, you might not be pushing yourself hard enough. Failure isn't the end of a road, it's just a detour on the way to success. I've had my fair share of setbacks. Sometimes they felt like I was getting hit harder than a deer running into a car. Take for example when I was preparing for my first 100-mile race. I actually injured my foot weeks before the big day. Coming off a muscle up, I came down and landed my foot wrong. Great. I put all this work, now I'm silent. But instead of getting discouraged, I took it as a sign to reassess and learn. I still went to the race, I stepped up to the race, got through about 30 miles of it before my foot swelled up, but the injury taught me how important recovery and listening to my body was, and probably not to do muscle ups a month out from doing a 100-mile race. It was a tough lesson, but the one that helped me more and more mindful of my long-term health in my training, in my periodization. And make sure to reframe failure. Failure doesn't have to feel like a crushing defeat. In fact, it's a powerful opportunity for growth. Instead of letting failures drag you down, reframe them as learning experiences. When I failed my first attempt at, let's say, clean and jerk. Oh, front squats. This is a good story. First time failing a front squat. It was like 135 pounds at the first time going to CrossFit gym. I wasn't determined to impress, but let's just say well done means something differently when it's burnt chicken breast. But I was done after this, and my coach came over and cleaned it off the floor and re-racked it for me. Honestly, at that moment, I could have probably quit CrossFit just out of just sheer humility, because I'm having my own coach come over and clean my front squat, a runner trying to do this. But instead, I took a step back, learned from it, and tried again. And that ended up being a great metaphorical setback, but from it I learned the importance of how to train and how to do things better regarding certain squatting techniques. So you always want to keep that big picture in mind. When setbacks happens, it's easy to get lost in the frustration of the moment. That's why it's important to keep the bigger picture in mind. For instance, when I had that ankle injury before my race, it was easy to feel like all my progress was for nothing. But then I reminded myself of the ultimate goal, running that ultra. It put everything in perspective. It's like getting lost in a big city and thinking you're never going to make it. But remembering that that coffee shop you've been craving is just around the corner, you keep going. And you get there, one step at a time. The bigger goal is your guiding light, and that's what keeps you moving forward even when things get tough. Now, when it comes to long-term success, it's not motivation that's going to get you there. It's going to be your habits. Motivation is always fleeting, but habits, or discipline, once built, are automatic. It's the difference between waiting for that perfect moment to feel motivated and just doing the work. And even when you'd rather stay in bed. I used to hate getting up at 3 a.m. and going for a run at 4 a.m. I had to have my coffee first, right? That alarm clock was my mortal enemy, and I would often negotiate with it like, just 5 more minutes, please. But after a while, it becomes a habit. You don't even think about it. Now getting up for those early runs is automatic. It's like alarm clock goes off, are you even going to hit snooze attitude has no effect on me anymore. I don't even think twice about it. I just roll out of bed, grab my running clothes, and head to the coffee maker. And the best part, I don't have to rely on motivation. The habit is ingrained now, and it drives me forward day after day. Now, building a habit is one thing, but staying consistent is where the real magic happens. The key will always be consistency. It's going to be setting up a system that works for you. That could be anything from having an accountability partner, to setting reminders on your phone, to scheduling a specific time each day for your goal. Personally, I set up a consistent routine that helps me tackle my goals, and I stick to it like glue. From 3 a.m. to 7 a.m., I have a very detailed outline schedule. It's both working out, my writing, my studying, and I make sure it's part of my daily structure, and I don't let anything get in my way that early in the morning. It's hard to because everybody else is asleep. But let's be real, if I didn't set reminders to work out, my couch and I would probably be in an emotionally abusive relationship by now. That couch has a way of pulling me in and keeping me there for Netflix for hours. So setting that reminder is like breaking free from that toxic dynamic and setting my goals. Consistency doesn't happen by accident. It takes a little effort to set up your system, but once it's in place, it pays off big time. Now remember, focus on those small wins. Keep pushing and don't let perfection stand in your way. Progress is ultimately the true prize. Remember, it's not about getting everything right or making huge leaps every day. It's about those consistent small improvements that stack up over time. So go out there and improve, even if it's just by 1% or even 0.5%. Those tiny improvements will add up to massive growth in the long run. Every step forward counts. Now, if you excuse me, I got a date with the coffee maker. I've been going since 3 a.m. in the morning, and I've got to get it going. Progress, right? Like, comment, subscribe for more tips and life lessons. See you next time.